have a look at this lineup. Filipe Toledo, winner here a couple of years back and a semi-finalist last year, up against Adrian Buchan, who's had some good results here in the past, and another exciting rookie, Frederico Morais. He is the most experienced rookie in the field, has had the opportunity to surf in some CT events and has made some big heats. But here we go, Filipe up, nice and early. And there's that speed that we love to see as he glides through that green wall a couple of times now, waiting for this thing to serve him up that nice steep wall so he can let go of some of those big exciting turns. Placing his moves beautifully at the moment, but just gets a little tangled up in the lip there and can't ride out. Let's see what Fred can do. Just working this one over. There's a big turn. There's that power that we've come to know and love. Throwing a huge fan of spray and still looking for more.
Well, you know Richard Marsh would be, who's his coach. It almost kind of in a way is an advantage because it's not as strong as Hawaii, so you can really lay into it, even give it a little bit more. See, this is that projection, long section he had to cover, and he did well to get around it without too much downtime. You know, and setting this up, and just you can see this arc. This is the turn, lays into it. I mean, we saw him get big scores off a carve like that against Mick Fanning at the Rip Curl Pro in Peniche, right, in his home country, and you know he was getting big scores there. So I mean, his style translates here to the championship tour pretty easily. Talk about Felipe's first wave of the season here, and there is a distinct difference in his approach and how quickly he moves in and out of his moves. You know, he sets up this section. This is his money section here, Little Marley. He's so strong that he can really do lots of different types of moves on that inside tight transition. It fits his style perfectly.
He's able to tap into all areas of the criteria as he motors down the line. Here goes Buchan. Beautiful float to get started. Straight into a nice backhand carve. And just working his way through to the inside now. Trying to keep that speed up. So he's got some momentum going into these moves. Huge backhand hit. This is looking like the best opening ride so far. And he'll get a clean finish on a tricky section there.
Mistake-free from Ace Buchan, which is what we expect. Again, trying to show variety on the backhand, so difficult to do, but Ace knows that. The angle out into the face a little bit, carve it back in, especially when you can go toe edge. You really can lay into that carve. Replay here of Felipe. And you can see this one with that low tide, just hugging the bank. And he saw that, so he stays next to it. He's going to get that steeper section. But it didn't go through to the inside.
So spring-loaded, Felipe. Frederico had a wave too.
Yeah, Frederico, this one a little slow at the start, but there, a tight little pocket. And then he has to compress, so he's such a long frame that it's a little bit more challenging for him to compress so quickly in that tight transition. Great wave choice from Ace Buchan here as he's got a little bigger, it's a little farther off the bank, so it kind of slows the wave up. But again, watch the angle of his approach here. Each one, it's a little bit different. There's a 12 o'clock, there's an 11 o'clock, 9:30, and that one was nice because he actually carved out of it. So kind of, like I said, a different look.
Well, there's a few turns on that wave that aren't collecting Ace big numbers. They're not major maneuvers. He just surfed that wave beautifully. Just really read those fatter sections, those slower parts to that wave perfectly. And when the wave presented the steeper wall, he dug in. Here's Felipe once again. Just springing out of turns. Has given us some of the biggest heat score totals from the last couple of seasons with his performances on the Gold Coast. And he's linking this wave together very well. Has more on the inside. Maybe the legs are starting to burn a little bit.
You can see it.
He recovered for the finish.
You know the feeling when you ride a wave that long, especially when you're really giving it your all like he was.
Combination of major maneuvers, you could say Felipe's got that covered as well. He actually just ticks all those boxes.
You have to. I mean, that's your experience. That's what you're here for, is to, you know, search for the criteria. Beautiful carb to start. Nice 12 o'clock. He was able to unweight there because that section kind of flattened out, and he was able to kind of keep the speed going by unweighting. You know, this section here didn't have a ton of scoring opportunity, but he stayed right there close to the whitewater, so that he did have those steeper sections. Now a little more water involved in it. That little Morais section that he loves, but you can tell right here, just the legs were burning. But held it together, completed the ride. And your judge is kind of grilling a little bit on the size of the wave, I think, because we're going to see the score come in, and it's going to be...
You know, I think they were probably on the money. 4.67 for Felipe, and here goes Ace once again. And his wave selection's been very strong so far. Adjusted nicely after a couple of throwaways in the opening stages. As he works this one through to the inside. Keeps that board moving. And now has a little bit more speed to work with. Drifts that tail. Good control. And it'll be a solid backup to the 7.43.
Good control with getting loose, right? I mean, that's that commitment. You know, you're kind of riding on the edge. That's what you have to do, but doing it with control.
So Frederico Morais with a big opening carve now. And a good section to work with here. Kicks that tail up into the pocket again.
Jeez.
And now the rookies are starting to get some confidence. This wave's going to roll through into this nice inside section now. And Fred's going to be able to add some extra points. He's already unleashed a number of major maneuvers. He calls for the ski. But I just have to go back. The 4.67 for Felipe was his second ride. He's still got a number to come through, and it's looking like a pretty decent one, Pete.
All right, there we go. That's a little more like it. I was kind of feeling like that score was going to be...
And it was 3 maneuvers were solid.
Yeah, and I specifically like that one. Just the placement in which he did the arc, because it was a pretty steep face to be able to kind of do that type of arc. I mean, the first one, solid. Second one there, it gets the projection. But this section here, pretty steep, and he lays into it. Really hard to do. And he did it with ease. So 3 big, solid turns on the outside, and even those cutties are pretty substantial. So this is going to be his best wave, I believe. Frederico has been putting great performances, you know, not only what he did in Hawaii, but, you know, he did well when he got that wild card.
I love it. But let's have a look at it again, Pete, because it was pretty nice.
Well, and the first carve, too, you know, it was nice and smooth and projected. Big amounts of spray, but that one there, I mean, even got the little torque at the end. He didn't have to push the tail, just the torque kind of added that little extra flare without kind of releasing the fins or flattening the board out. He did the torque with the board staying on rail. And again, just so difficult to do. And you wonder if it's going to kind of play into this heat rhythm, having that kind of mistake.
They really do. Yeah, they get just about any wave they want. As we see Felipe now with a little bit more speed. But this wave's starting to slow up just a little bit. He needs it to do something special. He wants to get that rhythm of top to bottom turns going as he swings the tail into reverse. All too easy for the Brazilian. And he's still bashing away at this wall.
Slam. That's a distinct whistle.
Oh, big time.
There he is, and he's got his bright orange shirt on.
My ears had almost recovered in the off-season.
Just that nice little fluoro tint. Take a look at the replay here. That carve he had to cut short to keep that progression down the line. You know, probably missed a section there just in... Now it slows up, but he could see it's going to come. It's going to get steeper down here. And he knew that he kind of had to do something a little bit more dynamic, and that was it. I mean, that looked like, with the speed he was carrying to do that type of move, that's the kind of thing about Felipe, is that he can go Mach 10 and do that same type of move, or he can do it when he's barely even moving.
Those 4 moves, that combination of 4 turns at the end of that ride by the ladies in the first round, but this morning I think we got a real taste of just what they're capable of when they get quality conditions. Steph Gilmore looking really sharp. Here goes Adrian Buchan, looking to make the jump from third place into the lead. Great combination to get started, but this wave, it splits in half, doesn't make the connection through to Little Marley. Ace is over the moon, and obviously he'll be inspired to put in a good show for his newborn. But here we go, Frederico. Up once again, chasing the lead, doesn't need a lot, but he's now going to need this wave to steepen up on the inside, and it's not going to do it for him.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where this is wave number 2.
Filipe looking to extend his lead here and really shut this thing down with 3.5 minutes remaining. You can see the wave is trying to line up again for him. He's got a good connection with this location. And there it is. Leaning in, stalling now. A classy effort. Can he find the exit? It looks like he's going to get gobbled up inside.
For that 15-point total. Watch this wave here. That second wave of the set will generally push a little bit wider, and it moves inside of those bigger first waves of the set, and sometimes that actually benefits the wall and allows you to have, you know, that section that'll connect the two. As you see the barrel there, he did actually have the opportunity to kind of get out of there, but chose to kind of go into that longer section. We watch now Federico. This was, I like his technique there, because knowing that he was going to have to jam down the line, you can't turn that board too hard off that first section. So he uses the wave to kind of push him towards the shoulder, but just no section there, and he had to kick out.
Didn't make a concerted effort to get onto the wave though, and it looks like he'll still be hanging on to that priority going into the final 60 seconds here. But out the back, Felipe behind the rock, tucks in, gets shacked, and he'll find the exit. But he took a low ride because he knew that someone was going to initiate that priority. Frederico was the man. He needs a 6.37 from this ride. A couple of big turns already. Shame he wasn't the one in position for the barrel on the outside. This wave's fading away, and he's just riding it through to the inside now. Just begging for it to make some miraculous comeback through Little Marley.
Well, you got Portugal represented here. Good to see the fans.
This thing's linking up again for him. Just chipping away.
Very aware of Felipe, and he knew that those guys were going to initiate their priority.
Felipe got a stand-up barrel. Felipe's up again. This was before the hooter, so an opportunity for him to extend his lead. Couple of big hits already. He unloaded on a couple of those steeper sections.
That's that wave I was talking about. You know, the one that kind of slips off and hugs the bank kind of right in front of the judges. And you know, generally your positioning isn't going to be in that spot, but since he caught that wave, it kind of put him right in that spot. I think this is going to improve the situation.
I need someone to get some oxygen down to him. He is looking like he's pretty gassed at the moment.
It depends on how you're going to spend your off season. You see there, very smart, like I said, of Felipe to stay out of the way there, because if he interferes with the surfer that has priority, he can get interference and lose the heat. This is 3 nice cars on the outside. Kind of similar though. You know, it didn't have quite the variety that we had seen earlier from Frederico. And then here, that disinterested, you know, there really wasn't much more to it. And then this is that little low road double up from Felipe. Look at this section set up for him right in front of the judges. I mean, they have a perfect eagle view of this one. As that wave had some water in it too, you know, it was doubling up. 3 nice solid turns. Don't know if it'll truly factor in, but look at the scores. It's going to almost be enough for Federico. They like it.
Well, situation update for you. 6.97 from the surfer from Portugal. He moves into the lead.
Yeah, so the little double up section here, he's going to need an excellent. So they're watching the 2 waves back to back here to kind of get a read on it. I mean, what in your feeling, just kind of sitting here, do you feel like it was a Felipe or Federico? It's kind of toss up.
In my opinion, like watching it,
yeah.
In my opinion, I thought the 6.97 was a little higher. That wave flattened out, and almost like Federico's body language was suggesting at one point that he thought it wasn't enough. He milked it through to the inside. There was a lot of dead water. He threw kind of just a bit of a slash on the inside, but it wasn't really what you'd call a scoring turn. But Frederico getting the payoff. They're loving the power. And Felipe and Adrian Buchan relegated to the second round now.